Analog horror is a strange thing. I know that sounds like the most obvious statement in the world just looking at one video in the genre, but I'm not referring to it in the sense of the actual content, and more so in its place in internet horror. It reached heights only known to a few of its contemporaries, contained some of the most popular and revered independent horror of the last decade, and has inspired a never-ending avalanche of fresh, exciting content. But in the same breath, I have yet to find any subset of horror that in the eyes of the masses fizzled out so quickly. Digital horror, ARGs, unfiction, creepypastas, pretty much every other kind of internet-based horror has managed to persist and be seen fondly in the eyes of its audience. But analog horror? Bringing it up in the Big 25 is like saying that your favourite pizza topping is anchovies. People are going to look at you like you're a weirdo or just a fucking moron. Now, there is a reason this happened. The slop vultures got a hold of analog horror and pecked away at it so ferociously that I don't blame anyone for casting aside the whole format and moving on with their evening, but I think the genre shouldn't be abandoned entirely. There is so much potential left untapped in the world of VHS tapes and strange TV broadcasts, and it's just a shame that there's seemingly nobody out there doing anything worth a watch at the moment. Well, that's what I thought anyway. That was until I came across a channel that not only enthralled me, but reaffirmed my declaration that analog horror isn't dead. Not when you have stuff like Watchful eyes, helpful hands. That is the motto that greets you upon reading the bio for the Gloaming County YouTube channel, followed by an explanation to what we're about to see. Gloaming is a town with a rich and varied history of industry, agriculture, and connection to the beautiful natural resources surrounding its developments. This channel was created to share footage from our archive and to document current events. Join us as we explore the wonderful, glorious mysteries of Gloaming's past, present, and future. Upon a first glance, the channel uploads consist of essentially a mishmash of content, some oddities here and there, but most of it's categorized under tapes, so let's go over those first. The first tape acts as a very simple starting off point. The video is a collection of low quality scenic nature shots all showing off the idyllic town of Gloaming, while calming music overlays it. The video plays out like this for a little bit, letting you immerse yourself, before we suddenly see a shot that is a bit different from the rest, a set of footprints in the snow at night, being as if shoved in after the fact. The video returns to normalcy after this blip. We're given more nature shots and then footage of what looks like a house fire before the camera pans to reveal it's simply a giant pile of burning wooden pallets. I'm sure the air is lovely and clean in Gloaming. We're given a title card and then the video ends. The second tape is an attempt to follow the same style as the first, this time acting as a harmless safety PSA on how to avoid deers on the road, but what began as a blip of strangeness before has gotten worse. The editing is far more frantic, and there are frequent clips seemingly spliced into the PSA of a field at dusk. It's hard to make out what is being filmed here, but whoever is recording seems desperate to get away from whatever it is they're trying to capture. Then, as the narrator is describing the effect of a deer in headlights, we hear audio of what sounds like a collision. We then see more spliced in footage. It shows a deer being dragged away out of frame. The PSA abruptly ends, cutting to black, and we then hear a second voice.
Yes, hello? Yeah, I'd like to report that I hit a deer.
The third tape immediately dials up the distress with an introductory note.
The Historic Preservation Society was instructed by Gloaming County officials to take this video down. We could not do so in good faith. It is our job to document every part of the past, not just what is pleasant. Something is deeply wrong with these tapes we've uncovered. We need to find out what it is.
For a moment, this piece of text changes to instead read, "I need to find out who it is." After a please stand by screen and anti-piracy warning because the residents of Gloaming would never download a card, we're shown an instructional snippet of the steps involved with the basic swing dance. Throughout it, the feet are overlaid with letters in what seems to be a random order. When writing them out, they spell... Yeah, I have no idea what that means. You know, maybe not everything in the world is a puzzle. The video then cuts to a scan of a poster for Gloaming County's Valentine's Day Bash. We're told to bring our dancing shoes and a sweet treat to share. We'll even get to meet Mayor Mallowwater. What an incredible night of enchantment! We then see what looks to be a home recording. The camera slowly moves across the room while there is audible whispering.
He doesn't like to be filmed. We have to be very quiet.
The camera flickers to a shot looking upward. Something, just barely in view, can be seen moving towards us before we cut again.
The following tape portion was delivered to us unmarked aside from the label Heart Day.
We glitch into a program named Designed for Dreaming, a short promotional ballet from 1956, which was produced to coincide with General Motors' Motorama of that very year. Thanks Wikipedia. We see a woman conked the fuck out. She wakes up, and it quickly becomes apparent that the footage has been modified. In the original program, a man clad in a suit and a top hat bursts into the room, and it's all very whimsical and silly, but here, the man has been replaced by something shrouded in the dark, with what appears to be a limb slowly creaking upwards. Another change is in the audio. In the original, upon the woman singing "I saw Prince Charming come into my bedroom and say," it's followed by more singing from said Prince Charming. But here, Charming's dialogue has been replaced with a simple question made out of spliced up clips.
Did you miss me?
Didn't know the cosmic horrors of Gloaming County understood the dark arts of YTP sentence mixing. The woman is handed a heart-shaped invitation, but when the shot changes to show what she's seeing, its contents are censored. As the video flickers and distorts, the shot moves closer and we're shown the words, "You're invited." The video glitches back to the Valentine's Day poster and ends there. The description gives us a little bit more insight.
A compilation of donated tapes collected and assembled for a February 14th upload. Most pertain to Valentine's Day proceedings. The exception is our final entry, a tape that was delivered to us with no information except for a label, Heart Day. We were urged to take this video down by local officials due to its unsavory content. The Historic Society has on this day, February 20th, decided to release their findings to the public in hopes of finding more information on their context.
Tape number 4 opens on a shot of a small Toshiba CRT. We see a title card animation for the Gloaming County Watch, which appears to just be a local news and event show, informing us on the upcoming farmers market before a message, hidden in a single frame.
Is there something you're forgetting?
The footage changes to a missing persons poster, the Weaver Woods attack. Her age is unknown, what I'm assuming to be her height is borderline illegible. She has black hair, brown eyes, and a scar on her forehead. We're told to contact the Gloaming Sheriff's Office and then another one-frame message. Going back, it shows a less distorted yet more unnerving version of the image. The woman is now a gaunt, smiling corpse, the supposed forehead scar being a sunken hole. We can now read her height as 6 foot tall, and her description has changed to read white hair and black eyes. The broadcast then cuts to whatever this is. The audio is clearly reversed, and upon playing it the correct way around, you hear Camp Gloaming. The fun has just begun. We're then shown a new segment, protecting your family from the rot. 1. Identify the threat. The silhouette of a deer becomes visible on screen. 2. Isolate. 3. Exterminate. The deer is replaced by footage of a roaring fire. 4. Defend your land. The community of Gloaming County thanks you for doing your part. We are shown a barrage of images, some nonsensical and some that seem to connect with what we've seen so far. A painting of a dog with a litter of puppies, what looks to be an incredibly zoomed-in photo of a flower. Then, a piece by Italian artist Giovanni Domenico entitled Satyr Family in a Wild Landscape, with a satyr being a creature from Greek mythology known as a nature spirit, originally designed to look like a human-horse hybrid, but with the Romans going on to identify the creature's design with that of fawns instead. In the original context, a fawn is a half-human, half-goat creature, but swap the U in the word for a W, and I think we can guess at what this is getting at. After this, there's an obscured image of what looks to be a family, with all of the heads cut out. Then another flower, a merry-go-round, a bowl of some repugnant-looking food, must be British, and lastly, the most horrifying of all, the American flag. We transition to a vector image of a house, and right before the screen cuts to static, something appears at the window. It's very difficult to make out, but I think it's there to show that Gloaming's sinister side is closer than you think. The last part of the broadcast we see is a field of flowers, overlaid with some disconcerting narration.
Violating the state quarantine is a Class 1 misdemeanor and carries a maximum fine of $2,500 and a year in jail.
The screen flickers and the field is upside down. Before we can see any more of the broadcast, whoever is filming the TV hits pause and the sound of a door opening can be heard behind them. They turn off the TV, get up, and the screen cuts to black.
Archivist note: these anomalies provide more questions than answers. Graves told me to lay low this month while we sort things out with the council. I can't explain it, but I feel like time is running out, like something even worse will happen if we stop now. The work continues. Our organization has encountered further pushback from municipal officials, including a very distasteful threat. Due to a brush with classified material in a previous upload, we have since come to a tentative understanding. We will refrain from theorizing or making claims about active police cases in official uploads. We must simply tread lightly as we proceed with our research.
Okay, so looking at what we have so far, I think we can begin to piece together a skeleton of a narrative to be fleshed out later. The sleepy town of Gloaming, a small, tight-knit woodland community with, I can only assume, the world's finest coffee and perhaps even a damn fine cherry pie. This town has something deeply wrong with it. Whatever is going on here, it's linked to something known only as the rot, and it's heavily intertwined for some reason with the deer population, with the subtle implication of fire as a deterrent. The officials in charge seem desperate to contain and bury these secrets. Through threats and municipal action, they are attempting to stifle the output of the archive, and from what we can gather, the town is trying to contain its residents too. If you're in Gloaming, you're not to come out. Whether that's because you know too much or because the rot will go with you, we have yet to know for sure. But someone, or maybe something, wants this secret out, whatever it is. Its chosen form of communication with our archivists is through the tapes they receive, and who knows if they wish to help or are toying with their prey. And at this point, if I've intrigued you with this brief snippet you've gotten of Gloaming County, then I am telling you now, it only gets better from here. Before you continue with my hodgepodge rant, if you've not seen it, go to the Gloaming County channel and watch the rest of the series. It is well worth your time and goes far beyond the collection of tapes uploaded. I'm sure you can tell by the amount of time left in the video that this one is a doozy, and it works best when discovered blind. I'm now going to assume that you've left and watched everything, and if you haven't, well, you're just kind of ruining the vibe. Can you get out? Tape 5 opens on black and white trail cam footage of a deer in the woods. Its movements are strange and stilted, then a title card. The title itself swaps fonts a bunch from this legible one to that of Wingdings, a font made entirely of symbols. In this instance, they don't translate to anything different than the original title, but knowing the series, they're not going to use this just the once. The shot changes to another trail cam, and some text appears.
They come out every night.
We're shown another shot of a deer, and a timestamp letting us know that this is current footage. It's the Big 25, this isn't some archive. The deer in the shot appears to be taking bites out of a tree, its head moving unnaturally.
Breast hooves and horns.
A new deer invades the shot, staring up into the sky, its neck either broken or severely contorted.
This is not a You have been warned. Watch carefully.
We see another angle of the original deer, hunched over and twisting its form. Suddenly, something new sprouts from the body. At first, I thought this was some kind of spider-like creature, but when you zoom in, there's hooves. Whatever these things may be, they are spreading.
The way they stare, as if they know you.
The screen flickers and there is a creature in the distance. I like to think this is the creature we just witnessed the creation of, and that's why it stood tall like this. This is a new one. It has yet to learn how to parade as something normal, something unassuming, something that wouldn't harm you. We hear a rustle in the leaves, and then all of a sudden, a writhing, fleshy mass takes over the screen. It's impossible to tell what it is we're looking at, but you can see it breathing, its skin moving in ways no living animal should. Even when going frame by frame, the true shape of it is left to the imagination of the viewer. They may ask for your name, do not give it to them, even if they appear to need help, even if they appear to be docile, especially if they appear as a friend. This ends tape number 5.
A timely warning concerning local wildlife sightings in the greater Gloaming area. Footage gathered from park cameras installed by our ranger team and private trail cams accessed with permission of property owners. Stay safe this summer by protecting your name and land.
The description seems concerningly unbothered by the content of the video, but when you consider that the Gloaming Historical Society has been dealing with consistent pushback and even threats for the stuff that they're putting out, this could be a way to have the video fly under the radar. If they don't act as if anything is off, maybe the video is less likely to be checked. Throughout the final minute, the video captions contain a string of wingdings. When being translated, they read, This all plays over the segment when one of the creatures is hovering directly in front of the camera, and so I think this is speech from the creature itself. If it's new to this world like I implied, then it's clearly not a pleasant existence. Maybe these things don't even wish to harm us, maybe they're just living out in a panic from the horror of their existence. Or if the warnings are to be believed, this mantra is a ploy to lure you over to it. Before we get into the details and analysis and such, I just want to briefly say how much I love this video. One of the reasons that analog horror died in the eyes of so many was the fact that so many videos and series always boiled down to attempting to scare the viewer through loud glitching sounds and warped, honestly stupid looking faces. They were so dependent on the exact same formulaic jump scare or the exact same stuttering footage before cutting to black shtick that it got old insanely fast. But this video, it's slow, it's quiet, it's methodical. The viewer is immediately tipped off to something being horribly wrong, but it leaves you with just enough safety to ease you into the atmosphere. And when the monster does get up close and personal, it's not some big jump scare or freaky face. You can't even really tell what it is, and when it's there, it just sits with you, letting the viewer picture in their mind what the fuck this thing actually looks like. It's genuinely a really well put together video, and it's what initially hooked me to the series. Nothing we've seen so far is the most original stuff in the world. The style, plot beats, the whole thing is covered grounds, but where this series really becomes enjoyable for me is in its sleekness and the way it portrays these ideas. I don't really care if an idea has already been done or not. The originality is for the birds. What matters to me is how you convey these ideas and what a creator's personal spin on it is. The deers in Gloaming County obviously take a lot of notes from the Skinwalker, a mythological creature with the ability to shapeshift, and in popular media uses identities like your friends, your family, or injured animals to goad you into becoming its next victim, and that's clearly almost identical to what we've seen of these creatures so far. But as we delve deeper into the rabbit hole, it'll become apparent how the creators of the series took this initial idea and ran with it. Roughly a month after Tape 5 was uploaded, the Gloaming County channel made a community post.
A concerning and controversial piece of mail has been dropped off at the Graves household, headquarters of the Historical Preservation Society.
Attached is an image of said mail, a package plastered with a sticker of a deer along with a note. Do not open until after autopsy. After turning to their viewers on what to do next and deciding to follow the instructions left to them, the Historical Society announced that they would be live streaming the opening of the parcel, but before that would happen, a strange video is uploaded to the channel under the name They Won't Leave. It's a short 20-second clip of deers roaming in what appears to be someone's back garden. The description reads,
"It's like they're waiting for something."
This is in addition to yet more community posts.
Our silent visitors are still surrounding the grave's property. A recent event.
Attached is a scan of a supposed newspaper article.
Unknown body discovered in nature reserve. A human body has been discovered on the Weaver Woods Trail, which has been closed for weeks for investigation by Gloaming PD as part of a missing persons case. The victim's remains are in a state of severe disfigurement, says Sheriff Randy Nelson, which makes our job a lot trickier. An autopsy will be performed to determine the identity and cause of death, according to Gloaming PD.
Another post, simply captioned, News.
The remains of previously missing resident Shelley Fennell has been identified by Gloaming PD. Identification of the remains discovered on the Weaver Woods Trail in late May proved difficult due to their poor condition. Limb fractures suggest a violent struggle with a wild animal rather than a human assailant. Though Miss Fennell disappeared in February, the body's physical condition implies a state of decay which aligns with corpses undisturbed for years, perplexing experts.
So it seems we now have a name to put to the face of the woman we saw in tape number 4, and as for the flicker which turned her to a corpse, I can hazard a guess that this is what she looked like upon discovery, a body aged an impossible amount. With the autopsy finally conducted, the Historical Society fires up their livestream and opens the package. Inside they find a box within a box. Inside of that box, which was a box inside of a box, there is a soft toy of a sleeping lamb. Cradled in its arms is a cassette tape labelled with Sins and Gloaming Church of God. The shepherd is away. Inspecting the plush, whoever is streaming activates a voice box inside of it.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. May angels watch me through the night and wake me in the morning light. Amen.
So that's a box and a lamb from a box in a box.
I like boxes!
The recording is a variation of a children's prayer from the 18th century, and the implication from angels watching you through the night has a clear parallel with Gloaming County's countless docile watchers surrounding our humble archivists. And in the original version of the prayer, the end of the text reads as, "If I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take." A bit more dreary of an ending, and maybe a more accurate one for those who get too close to Gloaming's deer population. For the contents of the cassette tape, we'll have to turn to the next tape of the series. Tape 6 opens with explanatory text for the package, its contents, and what the viewer is about to hear. The uploader theorizes that because of the Gloaming Church of God sublabel, that the audio could have been recorded in Gloaming's very own center of worship. The recording on the cassette contains a conversation between two individuals known only as Randall and Sam, and we've heard those names before. Well, we've seen the affectionate version of Randall, Randy, as in Sheriff Randy Nelson, quoted in the Gloaming newspaper clippings, and as for Sam, well, who was it that we got the chance to meet personally at the Gloaming Valentine's Bash? Mayor Samuel Malawater. Paraphrased, their conversation goes like this.
They want more than usual this year. We can't hold them off much longer. Folks are starting to talk, Sam.
Listen, we've got to keep trying. It's not like we got much of a choice here. The fine people of Gloaming deserve to sleep well at night.
Well, I haven't been getting much sleep with this whole business.
You're still getting used to your position. I know. You'll learn.
I say we pick a new target.
It doesn't quite work that way, you know. It's not up to us. Once he's fixed on someone, there ain't much we can do but help things along and keep things tight.
Damage control.
You've got your father's instincts, Randall. You know, what we're doing here, it's not a sin. We're just the messengers.
Yes, sir.
After the end of the transcript, we get a supplementary note.
Directly following the opening of this gift, archive intern VE noticed a man on the front porch. The man appeared to be watching intently. He left shortly after. The above photograph was captured before his departure. His identity remains unknown at this time.
And with that, tape 6 ends. So my idea that there was someone or something that wants the secrets of gloaming out there has been more or less proven to be true with the developments of this video. And as for the contents of the tape itself, the first thing that comes to mind is that this is expanding the role of the town in this world. It gives off a really similar vibe to things like It, a book focused on a town who all collectively and subconsciously feed onto this alien malevolent force, feeding it through death and appeasing it to protect themselves. Maybe the heart day mentioned in tape number 3 is a ceremony of sorts, a collective choice to determine whose hearts shall be given to the watchers of the night so that they may be appeased and the locals can remain in ignorant bliss, finally getting a good night's sleep. Just how deeply and interwoven this belief system is within Gloaming is expanded even further in the next, and as of now, final tape.
As promised, our archivists are now diving into the Camp Gloaming collection. When the summer camp shut down for a brief period, many of its older resources were either abandoned or donated to the archive. The studio responsible for this piece unfortunately remains unknown.
So the place we heard hinted at all the way back in tape 4 has finally come to our screens. Tape 7 is, production value wise, one of the most surprising yet. A fully fledged animated short, heavily reminiscent of things like early Walton files and videos by others that we will not mention. After an intro logo, the screen cuts to the camp rules.
Let's take a look.
Rule 1, find a friend. No lonely campers allowed. Rule 2, no yelling. This could attract wild animals to our campsite. Rule 3, no bad attitudes. We want happy faces only. When Rule 3 appears, the narrator reads out no bad attitudes or dreams. And when the word dreams comes up, the text on the screen changes to accompany it. Rule 4, go back to sleep. If you wake up in the night, go back to sleep right away. And finally, Rule 5, have fun. I'll try. We cut to black before some VHS distortion. Hidden amongst it is a message. Who are you trying to save? We're then taken to a campfire. There's a possum roasting marshmallows with— oh fuck, it's a deer! In all seriousness, in this shot we're given a title card for the short Happy Campers, and there does seem to be something hidden in the background. The gist of this scene is we're seeing a conversation between Scraps the possum and Daisy the deer. Scraps says they've heard the woods they're in are haunted, and Daisy responds with yes they are.
Sure they are.
She then goes into detail about a myth regarding the woods, that every year strange people come down from the trees and choose one unlucky camper to spirit away. More detail perhaps on the ritual Sam and Randall discussed. The two go to bed for the night, only for Daisy to be awoken by something calling her name. She heads out to investigate and comes across a door floating amongst the trees. Whatever is behind it speaks Daisy's name again before opening the door.
Yet.
Right at the height of Daisy's distress,
Give me more time.
The tape pauses. Side note, the phrase mentioned by the thing behind the door is actually from the chorus of the song Daisy Bell, originally written in 1892, and was the first song to be sung by a computer in 1961. I don't know if that has any significance, but I don't know, it's kind of neat. The video cuts before telling us that it's time for a quiz. What did Daisy do wrong? A, she left her buddy. B, she followed a strange noise. C, she spoke to a stranger. Or D, she squandered her potential. The answer is all of the above. We're told to write down what we think Daisy should have done instead. Me personally, I wrote that I think Daisy should have gone fucking anywhere but Gloaming. Like, Jesus Christ, babes, Nando's is like right there and you choose fucking Gloaming, you stupid cow. No, I didn't get your species wrong. It's a turn of phrase. Just because you were Turns out, no matter what we write, the only true answer was that she should have gone back to sleep. After being told that we should always stick with our body, the screen flickers again to a secret message. Is self-preservation salvation? We cut back to Daisy and Scraps, and during it the screen changes for a frame to show the trees behind them bursting with eyes, watching everything. We're then introduced to another character, Ranger Nelson. As we know, these are old tapes, so this is probably a nod to the role Randy Nelson was in before his current stint as the town sheriff. also showing that there are characters here linked to real-life Gloaming residents. Then, a third secret message. How well do you know yourself? The scene then changes to a congratulations screen for the Helping Hand Award of 1989. The winner is one Daisy Stevenson. So it appears that the story we saw may not be entirely fictitious. In the image of Daisy and who I'm assuming is at the time Ranger Randy Nelson, what looks like long, gangly fingers can be seen from the left side of the screen. A final secret message. Would you know if it was gone? We cut back to the rules screen, and whoever this little character is begins to talk, however not adhering to any script about camp safety.
Hey, you. I haven't seen you around camp in forever. What happened? I can tell you've been avoiding me. Don't give me that look. Are you afraid of little old me? Don't you want to know what happened to her? Don't you want to know what happened to all of them? Curiosity was always your downfall, Violet.
In the woods.
Just before the video ends, a distorted silhouette appears for a single frame. So, what I think we can gather from this, with the description of unhappy campers being whisked away into the night and the strict rules for campers, that Camp Gloaming has a secondary purpose, a far more sinister one. This may just be the grounds where the yearly target is decided upon. Whoever this is speaking at the end of the video, they seem to know one of our archivists quite well, naming them Violet. I say one of the archivists because if we go back to tape 6, there is mention of an intern named through the initials VE. So if this letter stands for the name I think it does, then maybe the Gloaming County Historical Preservation Society, oh what a mouthful, has a purpose far more pressing than the simple preservation of old PSAs. The moments like this one of the archivist fearing that they're running out of time make far more sense if we view it as someone, a former member of Camp Gloaming, joining the archive effort in an attempt to find out what has happened to the ones they knew. As for
Fig the Ram,
as they're credited at the end of tape 7, well, who knows? They might just be another victim of Heart Day, maybe even the one who's been planting all these messages and intercepting our PSAs and simple archives with the truth behind the town. And speaking of that truth, the thing is, we might have just watched the last tape, but this is just the beginning. During my exploration of the channel, there have been multiple things that I have as of yet neglected to mention, as they either make little sense without a prior understanding of the world they reside in, or spiral into their own tangents so long it would be a mess to try and incorporate without separation. For example, there's an upload on the channel which is entirely separate from the regular tapes, Gator Grotto. It's very short and seems completely inconsequential at first. The description even describes the video as supplemental. Gator Grotto is reopening for the summer. This advertisement is a fun throwback to when the water park was Gloaming's hip new attraction. The video is exactly what you would expect, a collection of action shots taken from the Gator Grotto water park, but where things unhinge is with the text that fades in on the bottom of the screen throughout. It seems even this snippet isn't safe from meddling. It's in the pipes, a disease with many arms and legs. We get the logo for the park, a single frame of what I'm assuming to be Gloaming's water tower, and the video ends there. Outside of this, the park is also mentioned in the first newspaper clippings posted on the community page, with the only notable info being that the owners are claiming to have addressed concerns from previous years. Whatever those concerns may be, we don't know yet. There is also an official Gloaming Instagram page, although most of the posts contained on it are recaps of things we've already seen or things we're going to look at. But besides all that, a far bigger thing I've yet to mention is that in every single description of the tapes on the Gloaming channel and throughout several videos themselves, we are told to go to gloamingcounty.com. And upon typing in the URL, you are taken to a fully realized website for Gloaming County, complete with pages upon pages of information and plenty of its own secrets. On the homepage for the Gloaming County website, we have a lot to gawk at. The site is a lovingly crafted homage to the internet of the olden age, and perfectly captures the vibe of a place operated by a small handful of people for an audience of a similar size. Scrolling through, we have the weather, a link to Gloaming's Instagram, there's an about page, a part of the site for news, and other oddities like the Palmetto Pals Shelter, the Heritage Project, and even a section for the officials of Gloaming County. Some of these simply go to the various tapes on the YouTube channel or contain info we already had, and others only contain little details, like the officials page, where we actually get an image for and full name of the head of the Historical Society, Lawrence Graves. But past these few simpler pages, there's a bit more to delve into. For example, the homepage itself, when scrolling down to the bottom, has a tiny little image off in the corner, closely resembling the logo for Camp Gloaming, and if we click on it, we're taken to gloamingcounty.com/down. On it is 3 artworks. The background is a piece by Arthur Rackham named The Wolf and the 7 Kids, a Brother Grimm's fairy tale, with the other 2 coming from collections of European fairy tales by Joseph Jacobs. The image on the left links to an audio file named Down, Down.
Down, down, ever downward.
And the other to one called We Are There.
We are there when you fall asleep.
Outside of this little rabbit hole, the homepage only contains 2 other notable things to interact with. An image of What's On, which takes you to tape number 4, and an image of Gloaming's Pet of the Month, Harold.
His name is Harold, he's a really fucking cool cat.
Hi Harold. When clicking on lovely little Harold, we're taken away from the website entirely and are instead directed to a Tumblr blog under the name Shelley and Friends. This blog is a retro-themed one ran by little old Shelley, and if you've been paying attention, we've seen that name before, much like the sheriff through the newspaper, although with a far bleaker context.
Hello world! I've just gotten back from my surgery, and while recovering, my niece told me about this lovely personalized blogging website.
At first, the post seemed like your typical old lady with a blog affair, wonderfully crunchy and glittery gifs galore, and it quickly becomes clear what makes this little old lass tick. Shelley's a God-fearing small-town girl who can't start the day without a coffee, and she loves animals, to the point of being an active volunteer for the Palmetto Pals Shelter, with Harold, the cat from the website, belonging to Shelley and the shelter. Unfortunately, after a few mundane posts, Shelley informs us that Harold has passed away.
Haven't eaten another sweet soul today. Fly high, Harold. We'll all miss your mischievous little self at the shelter.
The most devastating thing to happen in this entire series, R.I.P. Harold. For whatever reason, there is a word pasted all over the image of him, Renarok. Seems nonsensical, but when reversed, turns into coroner. The next post is even more alarming.
I prayed for an angel to lay dear Harold to rest. Today, that angel arrived.
We then get another of Shelley's strange motivational religious images, the text on the image pertaining to one who has been touched by an angel. The caption of the post is upside down and backwards. When put to a regular orientation, it reads, "Here's the shadow behind the door." The next post is a charming little gif of a cat wishing us a perfect day, and this is then followed by another about Shelley's personal angel.
I did not know that guardian angels eat so much. He seems ill. He's very thin. Perhaps with my cooking and care, he can once again reach his full power. I have prepared the following meal for him in massive quantities.
Remind me to never invite Shelley to a potluck. We then get 2 text posts on the same day, February 4th.
Today, he showed me his true face. He has overstayed his welcome. He will not leave. Oh Lord, please watch over me. Forgive me. This thing was not sent from your domain. He will not leave. He will not leave. He will not leave.
The account goes inactive until May, before making one final post, a shoddy gif of a gravestone paired with the reversed coroner text repeated again and again, along with an audio file.
Do not weep for me, for I have not come.
There is a video on the Gloaming channel which highlights some of the posts from Shelley's blog, but with some small additions. Some video clips of what I think is meant to be Shelley's angel.
An online personal blog belonging to Miss Fennell was recently discovered by one of our faithful tech-savvy interns. Shortly after, a digital camera was found on the ground floor of the historic coroner property. Members of our research team who have visited the Fennell home unanimously identified the location of this recording as her kitchen. Law enforcement declined this evidence. They believe the footage to be digitally tampered with, as one officer puts it, an insult to the poor woman's memory.
Finally, an explanation for the constant repeating of the word coroner. Going back to the Gloaming website and taking a look at the Palmetto Pals shelter page, there are a couple notable things. First of all, the background theme for the page is flowers, but there's this PNG of some separate from the rest. It hides a link. Clicking it takes you to the page gloamingcounty.com/Shelley, with it containing nothing but a background of paw prints and a missing persons poster for Shelley Fennell. For whatever reason, inside the letters of the word missing, Shelley's eyes are visible. Then, going back to the Palmetto Pals page and scrolling down, you come across a comment section for the many volunteers to post about the shelter, and it's a complete mess. There's posts dated this year, the early 2000s, the 90s, the 1920s, and one even claims to be from the future. The contents of these messages are a total mishmash too. Most are the typical old person not knowing how to use the internet fodder you'd expect, amongst those being messages from Randy Nelson and even Carol Graves, a last name not common enough to dissuade you from forming a connection between her and our very own dedicated archivist. Past that, two different people ask about someone called Winona, a user with no name says they will see it all, someone called Scott Burgess asks about cryptids, someone called Joe Smith writes out a passage from the first scene of Act 5 for William Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, which was intended to describe the witching hour, and of course our busy mate Shelley chimes in with a smattering of her favourite backwards word. There's also a post by Fred Figglehorn.
Today's snack time we have a sandwich. Specifically a cheddar Plowman's from Aldi, which I got for 75% off. Now, I love a reduction as much as any freak, but something you gotta keep an eye out for is the level of sogginess on your sandwich. When you reach this level of reduction, the sandwich has typically been sat on the shelf for approximately 57 hours at minimum, so the condensation of water underneath can turn your sandwich from a lovely, delectable treat into a pile of sludge. Let's rip it open and see what we got. It looks pretty promising, only slightly damp, but let's take a bite. Overall, it was pretty bad. The pickle tasted all yucky and tangy. I think it might have been slightly out of date. I think I might have given myself food poisoning.
Heading over to the news page, at first it seems like it's just a simple archive of the newspaper clippings posted on the channel's community page, until I made the mind-blowing decision to stop having a brain the size of a chickpea and click the word news instead of the drop-down menu it brings. When doing that 4D chess move, we're taken to a full-blown archive of local news bulletins from the months of February to August. What year? Well, I started writing this video in August. It is now September, and when I started, the news page ended at July. For February, there's your typical local event stuff, and a curfew dissuading residents from leaving home after dark at the top of the page. And then we get to an entry for the annual Valentine's Day bash, with the words for Valentine's Day linking to gloamingcounty.com/Heart Day. Here we have a scan of the bash poster, a link to the Heart Day tape, and right at the bottom, an image captioned "Open the door." Well, if you say so. There's a pair of malevolent eyes, captioned "Eyes over Gloaming," and below it, links to several things we've seen and a series of running deer. The eyes themselves contain two links of their own. The left eye takes you to the Wikipedia page for Otherworld, an Indo-European historical concept for somewhere one goes after death, and the right eye taking us to the page for Corpse Road, roads to transport the dead from remote communities to churches and cemeteries, often heavily associated with folklore. Going back to the archive, March is mostly uneventful. We have the spring cleaning workshop, which promises to teach us the ways of rot removal, there's story time with Sheriff Nelson, and then in April, something goes wrong. The artwork and the background for the page has changed to be shrouded in darkness. The animal's eyes change to bright, shining beacons. At the end of the page, there is an entry for the Community Hope Bonfire, hosted in the back field of the GHS, with a link to a list of approved items to burn. So the constant never-ending allusions to fire and their link to safety, overlaying the visualization of the evil infesting the town, is nothing more than a fleeting attempt at hope for the locals. If the whole thing is just for this ceremony, it might just do nothing at all. Going back to the April archive, there are 2 identical GIFs of an angel sat at a swing under a tree. The left one holds a link to a YouTube video. Fun fairy tale read-along Melody's Dream.mp4, uploaded by a channel called The Scribe. The description reads, "Consider this a submission to your little archivist's folly." The video starts out as a mess of distortion before cutting into a reading of a fairy tale called The Fairy Nurse. A minute or so in, the image on screen changes to a girl and her mother sat inside from the perspective of the outside window. To the right, a hand is knocking on the glass. The distortion returns, clarifying itself just enough to show what it truly is: the face of Shelley Fennell. Then we get a new story, one wholly original. Melody's Dream. It follows a girl known only as Egress, and the tale reads more as a note to this girl than a traditional story. Our writer, credited only as B.E., tells the young Egress that she is to meet this ghost of mine. One day, when Egress is young, she will have a dream. In the dream, she will meet a woman in the trees dressed in white. She will offer Egress her hand. The illustration of the woman changes from a saintly figure to a gaunt one shrouded in darkness, and it even looks as if her face changes to one of a deer. If her offer is refused, she will return every night until her hand is taken. They could be the best of friends, play hide and seek until the nighttime ends, but it all depends on Egress. The narrator tells Egress that if the woman is ever cross, she must apologize on the spot. She's told to ask for her blessings and to tell the woman all of her deepest secrets, for the mistress tells no lies. And no matter what Egress may request or say to the woman, she will always want something in return. When you grow old, tell your children, and she will be their friend too. And when you pass away, dear child, she will make you into something new. We return to the initial fairy tale, right at the end of its reading. The screen flickers to an image of a small girl with no face, and the video ends. The video contains captions throughout, and they read as intended. That is, besides the first 2 seconds of the video, which contains the words, "Oh, egresses, forever falling down rabbit holes of their own design. A tragic flaw, but entertaining nonetheless." Back on the website, the page for the month of May contains nothing but a gif of a deer that links to Tape 5 trail cams. In June, the background image has returned to normal. Gator Grotto officially reopens, and in between 2 mundane entries is one completely retracted. Of course, it links to another page, gloamingcounty.com/forgetmenot. At first, it seems that's all that's here, but if you click the image, you can scroll deeper down to a massive gif of a rotating apple. Upon clicking that, we're taken to another YouTube channel we haven't seen before, to a video posted 4 years ago, and with a title written in wingdings. It translates to grapefruit. The name of the channel is Violet Egress. The video itself is simply 18 seconds of someone walking through the woods, but the real meat and potatoes comes from the captions, more and more strings of wingdings which translate as follows. Guilt abounds, sickening feeling. Pandora weeps to have opened the box. There are 2 other videos on this channel, both contain titles written in the A1Z26 cipher. The first translates to Forget Me Not and was uploaded 1 year after Grapefruit. It begins with someone laying on the ground in the woods. They get up and the video glitches as they begin running. The captions in this one translate to It Calls to You. There's a comment on this video from our very own fairy tale poster, Scribe. Down, down, ever downward, again and again and again. How many times must we tell this story? We both know how it ends. The final video on the channel, whose title translates to Offer, starts out as a screen recording of someone typing out a message.
Hello, everyone. I found something weird in the woods. I want to show you.
We then see footage of our mystery uploader roaming the woods yet again. They stumble across what looks like a crown of sticks, taking great interest in filming it from all angles. Then they come across another swirl of twigs, and placed inside it is the skull of an animal, next to that, an apple. A cry is heard in the distance, startling our videographer. It screams again and again as the low rumbling wails of Lord knows how many rises from the depths. Our POV starts running and the video ends. Back on the news page, we're only left with July and August. Both pages read exactly the same. There was no news in July, there was no news in August. Everything, it seems, is at a standstill. The About page for the site initially seems as unassuming as many of its peers, but right off the bat, before even getting to the extra pages and horrible detours we're now used to, the Q&A segment at the bottom of the page is already letting the mask slip. What is the usual commute from Colombia to Gloaming?
Depends on how badly you want to get there.
Why is 2013 significant?
2013 was significant for several reasons. For one, it was a legendarily good year for agriculture. The Fall Harvest Festival was particularly splendid that year. Notably, our livestock competitions drew crowds from all over the state, and from out of the state as well. 2013 also marked the grand reopening of the Weaverwoods Trailhead to public access.
In this answer, several of the letters are written in bold. When placed together, they spell the name Winona. Is there a way to fully stop the rot?
No. We can only do our best to isolate the spread.
How do I exist in Gloaming?
We are the last destination on the route. When you think the bus ride is over and you've missed your stop, you are here. As day turns to night, our friendly welcome sign will emerge from the shade of the pines and you'll know you're home.
Above the Q&A, there is a series of scenic images plastered at random. 2 of them contain hidden links. One simply routes us back to the down page, but the other leads us to gloamingcounty.com/speak. In front of a background of a moonlit forest night, we have 2 things of note. Lines of text at the top and bottom of the page which read 2013 archive, and in the center, a chat box. It holds a conversation between 2 individuals, one named V, who I think we can assume is the ever mysterious Violet, and one called S. Almost immediately upon starting their conversation, the 2 are interrupted by Gloaming County's favorite symbol set. This user's name translates to Fig, and their messages go as follows. Did you type that?
What is that?
Hello. Do you not remember me? I am your best friend. I watched you grow up. I am still in the corner. But now you cannot see me. I am so lonely. Violet Egress.
The conversation continues, if bewildered, before further interruption from this wingdings warrior.
I miss you. Talk to me.
This message repeats until Fig's username changes to match it. They start spamming this image before the chat is disabled. The 2 lines that read 2013 archive contain hidden links both on the number 0. The one on the top taking us to an Instagram page for a user named Sunny Girl. A user who claims to have graduated from what I can only assume stands for Gloaming High School, the University of Southern California, and who's named Sienna Stevenson, linking her not only to our chat log and Violet Egress, but to Daisy Stevenson, our winner of the Helping Hand Award at Camp Gloaming all the way back in 1989. The account is mostly harmless, containing glitzy post after post that, while completely innocent on their own, still instill a sense of uneasiness knowing everything that surrounds them. That is, until we get to this post, which seems fine enough until you notice, in the same vein as one of Shelley Fennell's posts, upside down and backwards text. The next post is a broken version of Sienna's typical post, with text reading, "We've been here before. My dreams have been really weird lately." The next post contains the text, "Please don't forget," and in the caption, Sienna drops character and goes on a brief rant about how her dreams are getting worse and that her meds aren't working as they're supposed to. Her mother dismisses her, and the rant ends as, "I don't think I'm the problem. I think this place is haunted in a terrible way." There is an archive story post on the account. It's a mush of unintelligible text along with a link to a password-protected Tumblr blog. The link on the bottom line of text on the Gloaming website page also goes to this. Speaking of which, going back to the Gloaming About page, there is one last thing, a lone graphic of the lamb sheep thing that has seemingly followed us at every turn. Upon clicking it, you're taken to gloamingcounty.com/Figaro. Harkening back to the third tape of the series with both the URL and screenshots of the Heart Day tape, we get a more in-depth version of the invitation we received oh so long ago.
You are cordially invited to a soiree. No rock can stop us from making merry at the witching hour. Neither prayer nor ballet can stop us. Lay down your head, lay down your pain, and join us in the world.
Below this is the return of the spinning GIF apple, which takes you to a page simply titled Tunnel. It contains a message encrypted in the Caesar cipher, which translated reveals it to be another quote from the same scene of A Midsummer Night's Dream we saw quoted all the way back in the Palmetto Pals chat box. In the corner is another link to yet another Tumblr blog. God, the residents of this town must fucking love Sherlock, under the name of An Ear to the Door. The account has links to the Violet Egress YouTube channel, along with a multitude of posts containing things that it seems like the poster should not know, with lots of images that contain flipped and backwards text. And at the bottom of the page there is a conversation plucked from the ether. The names are encoded, but they translate out to mother and father. They're discussing a third person whose name is blacked out entirely, although with the fact that everything we see keeps on leading back to her, I'm going to assume that they're talking about Violet.
Doesn't need to know. I won't have her growing up with our burden. Ignorance is bliss. She'll find out when she goes to camp anyway. She deserves to know what to do when the dreams start. She's still a child. So are we. If you won't show her, I will.
Going back to the website, there is one more page to explore, the Heritage Project. This page is, by its own admission, unfinished, and mostly consists of several images pertaining to major landmarks throughout Gloaming. We have the Water Tower, which we know has something going on with it, the Weaver Woods Trail, Gloaming High School, which further proves Sienna is a local after all, Lake Abel, which is at the heart of Camp Gloaming, and whose image is actually a still of a shot all the way back in the very first tape of the series. And then finally, we have the Coroner House, located on Lone Dove Road, the property where the camera of Shelley Fennell was discovered, and whose name has been repeated time and time again. Outside of this, we have a link to local stories, supposed claims of local legend, superstitions, and the paranormal from those throughout the town. A couple are simply strange, half-remembered anecdotes, what you'd expect from your own small-town population, but some seem in tune with everything we've been seeing.
Late last night, walking home along the bypass, I saw someone or something standing motionless just beyond the guardrail. No streetlights, no signs. It was a silhouette that didn't move or respond, even when I called it out. I crossed the road and looked back, and I was gone. I've taken that route 100 times, never seen anything like it.
I was taking a stroll in the park. I ain't sure if it had a name, and I stumbled upon a plant that was really lovely, and I couldn't help but crouch down and admire the petals. Some hours later, I began hearing singing as if a siren was nearby. But it began to be annoying when I tried to listen to other songs to get the singing to go away. Still, they're lucky it's angelic.
My aunt always told me and my siblings not to play in the woods alone, and if we turned our back on the trees, to cross our fingers so the woods walkers would leave us be. She said that when she was a little girl, she was playing in her backyard when one of them came right up and gave her a shiny red apple. When she went home and cut it up, the apple was hollow on the inside and full of worms. Every time she told this story, she described the woods walker differently. Sometimes it was a woodland animal like a rabbit or a deer. Other times it was a beautiful woman or even a young boy. Once she added that for weeks after, an apple would be on her doorstep when she got home from school. Auntie passed away earlier this year. I miss her and her tales every day.
I saw it. It ran deep from the well.
Outside of these unnerving tales, the Heritage Project has one final secret within. Going to the introductory text, Violet's name links you to, you guessed it, a Tumblr blog. And after all this time, all these cryptic mentions and allusions, we finally have words written in the present year from what I can only refer to as Gloaming County's hidden protagonist, Violet Egress. This is Violet
Violet Egress. She's a 21-year-old artist and university dropout who is, as she puts it, documenting various findings as I wander my beautifully bizarre hometown. The posts on her blog begin all the way back in January, and in terms of the external sources we've been carted around via the Gloaming website, it is by far the most in-depth. Her first writings start out as a chronicling of her trip back to Gloaming after a less than smooth time at college, and her fears about returning as she's never stepped foot in her childhood home since graduating high school. As she puts it, "Every time I leave this town, it seems to recede into the back of my mind like a dull, constant headache or a hazy dream. Gloaming haunts me in bits and pieces that scatter and shift until I can't remember what things were really like anymore." She reveals that her father works as a park ranger, linking him professionally to Camp Gloaming, and further down posts a photo of the man. Much like every other photo of a person throughout the series, we never get a full look at the face. In February, Violet posts some field notes. "I enjoy walking through the woods to clear my head. On this particular evening, I caught sight of two beautiful specimens that I simply had to document. Despite their unusual appearances, they did not seem to be hindered in movement or behavior. Edit, I did some digging. Gloaming's white-tailed deer population fell to undocumentable levels in the 1980s. It has not risen since, so what exactly are these? Earlier this week, I ran into my old biology professor, Mr. Graves, while doing research on local fauna at the library. As it turns out, Mr. Graves is the head of the Historic Society here. He mentioned that they're looking for interns. I think I'll take him up on the offer. If anything, it'll be something to do while I get the rest of my life in order. Now that I'm home again, I feel like I'm missing someone. It's a dim impression in the back of my mind. I can't picture his form, it's just a fuzzy silhouette, but I think we will meet again soon." She writes a post about Shelley Fennell, reminiscing on her weekend spent at the Palmetto Pal shelter, along with an ex-best friend Violet only refers to as S, but who I think we can guess is meant to be Sienna, also revealing that Shelley wasn't only a fellow volunteer, but the manager of the shelter as well. For March, Shelley goes MIA, returning in April with a claim that she's found a lead on the Shelley Fennell case and a link between her passing and the Corrin house, hoping to ask her father for further intel later on. Then, Violet starts receiving anonymous asks on her account. The first one of these simply asks her,
"Can you recall anything else about the person you mentioned in tracks? Does he have a name?"
Yes, he has a name, but I will not speak or write it. He wouldn't like that very much. I will instead try to spell it out. I need to be careful. I feel that he is still watching from the edge of the wood." Attached to the post is two photos, a photo of a fig and a photo of an arm with an arrow jutting out of it. Fig, arrow, Figaro, Figaro. The woman in white, the knowing shapeshifter waiting in the corner to offer you an apple filled with worms, the being who'll return time and time again for you to take its hand, the creature that we have seen pulling string after string when it comes to the supernatural forces behind Gloaming County. It's his, her, their name is Figaro. And Figaro has taken a keen interest in our dear Violet. In May, Violet learns of the body found in the Weaver Woods Trail and posts about it, underneath adding a postscript. Are my blogs coming through alright? I feel like I've been posting into the void, or that Gloaming's already spotty net connection is somehow eating away at my words, scrambling them before they can escape into the World Wide Web. If you're still here, shoot me a message or an ask. Say something, please. I need to know I'm not alone in this. As I sit here digitizing old tapes and sifting through our still sparse information on Shelley's case and the involvement of Redacted, feeling all but useless, I am struck with an odd familiar notion. A woman who slipped away in a single night, finding a place here in Gloaming only to disappear at the edge of the woods, first searched for, then mourned, then quickly forgotten as folks get on with their lives. I only know one thing for certain. This has happened before. I have been here before. Some might call it deja vu, I call it a circular story. The same play with different costumes. I only hope to know my lines a little better this time around. Then, just in time to quell the loneliness, Violet gets a question.
Hi Vi, just wanted to let you know that your posts are still coming through and they seem to look normal, whatever normal is. I'm confused though. Sometimes it seems like you're talking about Shelley, but sometimes it seems like someone else. Did another woman go missing in Gloaming?
Yes, most of my strongest memories of her are from when I was a small child. Dad barely mentions her these days, but sometimes when he's out working late or putting in extra hours at the nature reserve, I wonder if he's still looking for her. I'm talking about my mother, of course.
Violet, is your YouTube account at Violet Egress? It only has one video on there and it's kind of strange.
What? I don't have a YouTube account, or I shouldn't. Hold on, I need to Google something now. I did not upload that video. I'm actually so unsettled right now. That account is attached to my old email, but I can't get into it anymore. That isn't me. So we now know how Violet can be so seemingly normal on her blog, yet so cryptic and strange on other platforms. It's because this isn't her. But that begs the question of who it is. We close out May with yet another bombshell. Recently, I got this message from a follower of mine.
You and Sienna's old blog got hacked or something, not really sure. There's a bunch of weird stuff posted about you. I'm pretty sure it's him, if you know what I mean. Does Sienna know about this?
I managed to scrape up the old password again, and sure enough, it's been corrupted by him. The whole thing reminds me a bit of how Shelley's personal blog started to look just before she disappeared. The person who sent me this info said S was hiding part of our old blog's passwords in her Instagram posts. I don't get why she would want to draw attention to some silly art webpage from when we were kids. Was she hoping I would find it eventually? I really need to talk to her again. And wouldn't you believe it, the anonymous messenger was right. If you go to Sienna's Instagram page and go through the posts, several of them contain numbers at the bottom of the captions. When you slap that into the secret blog, we have full access, with posts that seem to go all the way back to 2013. The blog mostly consists of charming little drawings posted by the dynamic duo, but there's immediately a couple of new revelations, such as the chat page on the blog being the true origin of the hijacked chat showcased on the Gloaming website. And when you check the About page, who else but Winona is waiting for you? The first post on the entire blog is a string of wingdings that translate to,
"Ungrateful girl, you toss me aside like some plaything, yet you are so lonely. I could save you if you would let me. The power is worth the panic."
From there is message after message ranting and raving to Violet.
"What if I told you I can quench your insatiable curiosity?"
And then in a post titled Violet's name over and over again, we get an image paired with the word void spammed underneath it. Beneath the destruction of the spam, there is another message hidden behind it.
"Where, oh where, has your poor mother gone?"
Heading back to Violet's blog, in June she posts about the package the Historical Society received, along with an update when Shelley Fennell is found at the Weaverwoods Trail. Then a question.
Who is Winona?
That's personal. Underneath her response, there are several low-quality images of moths and what looks like inverted eyes. On several of the images there are hidden letters, which you can use to spell out mother. Another piece in the ever-growing puzzle that is Gloaming County. Winona is Violet's mother, and she too seems to have a highly important role to play in this performance.
Why do you censor S's name, but not Kane or Shelley?
Kane plasters his name all over the internet anyway. I doubt he'd be bothered by some more publicity. It's important to preserve Shelley's memory. If we stop saying her name, I'm afraid it'll feel like she never existed at all. Wait, who the fuck is Kane? Well, Kane Mosney is a journalist in Gloaming who writes for the newspaper we've seen all those clippings of. All of which being pieces he has written and who also has ties to Violet and Sienna. How do I know this? Because if you go to the Palmetto Pals shelter page on the Gloaming website and head to the comments page, Kane has left a little comment, a link to another fucking Tumblr blog! Luckily for us, this one seems to mostly act as more world building, town gossip and other more light-hearted stuff to flesh out the world we're peeking into. The posts date all the way back to 2021, further proving just how fucking dedicated the creators of this series are. Heading back again to Violet's blog, she posts about how since opening the package sent to the Historical Society, she's felt watched. It seems that everywhere she goes, she sees the same faces, specifically Sheriff Nelson. At a cafe, at the post office, even in her own home talking with her father, Sheriff Nelson is always around. In August, an anonymous user asks how she's holding up after the upload of the Camp Gloaming tape to the YouTube channel, which, in case you forgot, I don't blame you if you did, it was a while ago, ended with someone directly addressing Violet and telling her to meet them in the woods. I've barely left my room. All I do is pace, draw, journal, lie down, and pace some more. What I can't work out is how someone in 1989 could have left a message for me, given that the recording predates my birth. It could be a funny coincidence, a little Easter egg left in the tape for some other Violet, or someone could have tampered with the tape recently. Which brings me to S. Sure, we don't have the closest relationship anymore, but why should I give up my trust in her? In our recent meetings, she has given no indication of bad intent. I'll confront S about the weird hyperlinks on the county website. I'll finally show her our old blog archives. I need a straight answer. Alongside the digitization project, I have been working with Lawrence to catalogue folklore and superstitions from around Gloaming. Here is one entry which I find fascinating. There are places in Gloaming that are fuzzy around the edges, particularly those which have fallen into disrepair. Entering one of these zones feels like swimming into a cold spot at the lake. You won't know until you're in it. This is a time slip. Like quicksand, time slips drag the world down, down, down towards a center point, the outer ring, where time moves slowest. To escape, you must retrace your steps exactly, pushing against the current. You must keep going no matter how slow your progress appears. Only then will you make it out. If you slip all the way into the center and lose your way, you could become trapped indefinitely. If you spend too long there, you might even forget who you are. Those who have experienced a time slip may experience prolonged disorientation, altered memories, or unusual habits. They may exhibit an affinity for obsolete technology or antiques, or carry with them a persistent longing for an era which has long since passed. If not treated, this longing can grow into an all-consuming madness. Whenever Shelley was running late to meet us at the pet shelter, she'd always say she got caught up in a time slip, another one of her quirks. Now, I wonder if she believed in this sort of thing too. After this, Violet posts some screenshots of a chat log between herself, Sienna, and Kane.
Hi! What's up? Why'd you invite us here, Kane? Damn, no hello? Just wondering. I have the same question. Okay, so, you remember the coroner house? What about it? I went back. Found something both of you will want to see. What am I looking at exactly? What the actual hell, Kane? Are those eyes?
The attached image is... I don't know, really. A pile of writhing, maggot-filled flesh is the only way I can really describe it. We have one final piece of writing from Violet, a post simply titled Lamb Eyes. You are all asking for clarity on some details of my life. I will do my best. I know my accounts seem bizarre to say the least. I don't need you, dear anonymous reader, to understand. I just need to get the record straight. When I was a child, I had a friend who I would play with in the backyard. Sometimes he was a boy, sometimes he was an animal. If he ever got angry, he became something else entirely. I first met him behind the slide on my elementary school playground. He was crouched in the damp wood chips, shaking. I took him home in a cardboard box and cleaned his wounds. I fed him from a bottle and stroked his fleece while I read him storybooks about fairy queens and brave paupers and lovers lost in the woods. One morning I tugged on my rubber boots and ran out to feed him. As I tore through the sedges, the chicken wire pen had been split open from the inside. I huddled there in the wet grass and cried until my mother came to comfort me. "He'll come back," she whispered, stroking my hair. "Just you wait." 3 weeks later, I was hiding beneath my covers to read a book past my bedtime when I heard it. A soft tapping. A boy stood outside my window, drawing spirals in the humid glass with a dirty finger. His white hair was long and tangled with thistles and weeds, his face a mottled tapestry of deep scars. This is how I came to know my oldest friend. I will call him F. We heard my mum knock at the door. F shot up in a panic. I remember asking him if I'd ever see him again. He just stared at me with those wide prey eyes, his jaw set. Then he fled into my backyard once more. Mum came into my room to help me get ready for school. As I picked out my clothes, brushed my teeth, and ate cereal at the kitchen table across from my parents, I thought of everything they did not know. My bones were indescribably heavy, but my mind felt light. The next night, he came back. And the next. After this, there is one more post from Violet.
Post unavailable. Please reload the page and try again or contact us for support.
So, now that I have spent the last however many minutes throwing information and curveballs at you, what on earth is it all? What is Gloaming? What are the dear things? Who is Figaro? What is going on with Violet, Kane, Sienna, Randy, Sam, Fred, Figglehorn?
Because he's a key to all this.
What's the deal? Well, here's my theory. Gloaming County began its history many years ago as merely one of the many small American towns out in the middle of nowhere, content in its isolated community and small town values. Eventually, for reasons we have yet to know, this town was overtaken by a malevolent, bodiless force known to us as Figaro, a cosmic entity which has no true physical embodiment, able to change its shape and form to accommodate its whims, although having a couple preferred visual interpretations to show to the inhabitants. This creature, once arriving in Gloaming, took it and split it in two. Gloaming is a place both inside and outside of time. You can enter it, you can see it on a map, but it is disconnected from our world, sunken into its own pocket, its own time slip. It has remained for the rest of us just tangible enough to be able to acknowledge its presence when surrounded by it, but once you are away from it, it falls from your memory. Gloaming is only alive in the memories of those who live there and those who surround it. Once placing the town into this cosmic limbo, this otherworld, Figaro began to feed on the inhabitants, infesting their minds with dreams that slowly but surely ramp up in intensity, using trickery to deceive them and treating the town as his own personal playground. In the down page for the website, the images there all point to this one idea. The background image is an artwork based on the fairy tale The Wolf and the Seven Kids, in which a wolf uses honey and medicine to trick a group of children into believing the wolf is their mother so they will let him in, only for the wolf to devour all but one of the children. The other fairy tales represented are The Unseen Bridegroom, in which a princess named Anima finds a portal to another world where she meets and marries a man whose face she can never truly see, and the other from Galish, a tale of an Irish peasant who saves a princess from a cruel fate. Both of these stories being the different points of view to a romanticized version of this intertwining between Figaro and the town of Gloaming. I believe the end result of this feeding is the dear creatures we see throughout the videos, the many victims of Figaro reborn in new, twisted forms. They have faint memories of their past lives, names and friends, but they are now one of the many, a form of rot that spreads throughout the town. Seemingly unstoppable, with the remaining residents hosting festivals of hope, roaring fires as an attempted deterrent. As this continued throughout the town's history, the local officials, fearing for the safety of themselves and the others, began an almost tentative agreement with this creature. Camp Gloaming is created as a slaughterhouse, a place where the young and unknowing are taken so that one or some of them may be chosen for consumption. A cowardly way of the old guard of Gloaming to protect themselves. What begins as a horrifying compromise is soon mythologized. The locals around Gloaming propagandize, ritualize, and sanitize the truth of what they are doing until it's simply all fun and games, fun little festivals, a quirky little getaway for the young'uns in the summer. The truth of their purpose is buried away, and the town is placed into quarantine so that the evil hiding may not spread, and so that the misdeeds of the residents can never be known. The only ones permitted to know the true depths of their rituals being a mere few of Gloaming's elite, like the sheriff, the park rangers, and the mayor. And all of this has become a carefully maintained cycle, the same story which repeats time and time again. Earlier in the video, I mentioned how the story presented reminded me of the book It, and I think there is another similarity they share. In the book, the entity known as It returns to wreak havoc on the town of Derry every 27 years, a continuous cycle which has gone on for generations, and I think Gloaming is operating in a similar vein. Every generation, the cycle starts up anew. The first thing to happen is a woman is slain and marked to resemble one of the physical forms of Figaro, a gaunt corpse with a sunken hole in the forehead. We see this in action when comparing the missing poster of Shelley Fennell to the visual interpretation of Figaro in the Camp Gloaming VHS, both with the same scar on the forehead. The woman who is slain must also have a tie to the Egress family, a family that has spent generations in Gloaming and who Figaro has taken a keen interest in. The cycle before this current one, the woman to be slain is most likely Violet's mother, Winona Egress, a woman deeply involved with the nature side of Gloaming and who has achieved an almost mythical status amongst the locals after her disappearance, with this cycle choosing to claim Shelley Fennell thanks to her connection with Violet through the Palmetto Pals shelter. The reason that Figaro seems to take such an interest in the Egress family is that they are naturally born investigators, always looking for the truth of what is going on around them. The comments and hidden messages from the Scribe YouTube channel hints towards this. Oh, Egresses, forever falling down rabbit holes of their own design, a tragic flaw but entertaining nonetheless. Again and again and again, how many times must we tell this story? We both know how it ends. It seems that the Egresses have always had a desire to know the true inner workings of Gloaming, and Figaro has always used that desire to his advantage. You see, this is all a game to him. He's been deeply intertwined into the family for a long time, feeding on that curiosity to kill the cat. Every time a new Egress is born into the town, they just become an inevitable part of the new cycle. Figaro is transferred from their parents to them during childhood and stays with them until the next generation comes around. And Violet is no different. She was born to the same cycle. Figaro became enamored like the generation before, and he watched her every moment. But where Violet differed is that she left. She went to college, made Gloaming a distant memory, until Figaro decided he wanted her back. Everything we've seen, the tapes, the website, the strange occurrences, it's all gone exactly as planned. When you watch the tapes in order with this perspective, it becomes obvious that Violet has simply been following a path carefully preordained for her. The rabbit hole to lead her to the magical man whose face we can never truly see. She returns to the town after college, and right as she does, the cycle begins. The death of Shelley Fennell occurs, spurring Violet into diving headfirst into her own investigation. And like magic, every tape she finds seems to have some dark secret laid out plain as day within it. The officials, Randy, Mayor Mallowwater, they're freaking out. They think that someone is trying to spread their secrets, but it's all according to plan. The videos become more and more painfully obvious until the Camp Gloaming tape, where the facade is fully dropped. Figaro uses the opportunity, now that Violet is fully and utterly consumed by her search for answers, to get her alone in the woods. As Violet is chosen, and once he's fixated on someone, all the locals can do is wait out and help things along. The sheriff, the mayor, even Violet's own friends are all at the whim of their watcher in the night, pushing along the cycle to become complete again, as Violet is led down, down, ever downward, through a corpse road to the other world awaiting her.
Say that again.
This series is really something special. What at first seems like another one of your dime a dozen analog horror fake PSA fests quickly plummets into a never-ending web of red herrings, confusion, and masterclass world building. A layered story about generational trauma, cycles of abuse, nostalgia, and letting go of your past only for it to come crawling back to you in a new form. This is by far the biggest thing I've ever talked about on here, and I have spent weeks writing what you're currently hearing me ramble. That last sentence I literally just rewrote, as every time I thought I had found everything there was to talk about, I'd stumble across some GIF on the website, or some new YouTube channel, or Tumblr blog, or something that threw everything back into overwhelming chaos. It has been a whirlwind of discovery, dread, and mystery that I wholeheartedly adore. And the best part is, there's still so much left unanswered. Who is Scribe? Are him and all of these accounts sock puppets for Figaro? Where does his influence stop and the town begin? What's the deal with the water tower and Gate of Grotto? There's a Reverend with his own weird little story that I didn't even mention because I don't know how to fit it in. Are there answers for this stuff? I have no idea. It's either not out yet, or it's on some other blog or site or channel I don't know about. So I implore you to go to these places. Go to the website, the blog, the channels, the Instagram accounts, and have a little treasure hunt. It's actually incredible to me what's been pulled off here for so long and with so little fanfare. I don't think it's been going since 2013, as some others do, as the only proof of that is the old Tumblr post from the hidden blog, and the published dates of Tumblr blogs can be modified. But I do know this has been going on for at least 4 years, probably longer than that. And the best part is, the series is clearly far from over. So Jesus Christ help me and anyone else who has taken the plunge for what will happen next. Whatever it is, if it's as well done as what we have so far, it'll be a blast to see. So until next time, stay out of the woods. Keep your doors locked, the fire burning, and for the love of God, do not get too close to the wildlife. We wouldn't want you to become yet another victim of the Ouroboros during its never-ending quest to write out and consume its own tale again and again. Down, down, ever downward.